Now. All right. Hey guys, I'm Dan Crosier. I'm here with on Talking Palettes, a little interview series that I've been doing, interviewing some of my creative friends. With me today is Ted Intorcio and Julian Brier. They're here to talk about some of their works with Tinto Press. Ted is the publisher, and as well as amazing writer and illustrator, and Julian is a fantastic comic book creator as well. Welcome, guys.
Hey. Thanks, man. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourselves. Ted, we'll start with you.
Okay.
Kind of give us a picture of like your upbringing and how you got into comics.
Oh, I got into comics like everybody did. I think I was a youngster and somebody gave me a bunch of worthless comics that I found a great deal of value in terms of reading them instead of selling them. I thought immediately, oh, look at all these comics. I'm going to sell these for lots of money. And I started reading them, and that was it. I never went back. And that was, oh gosh, fifth or sixth grade, I think. But I was always interested in drawing, and I went to art school for industrial design originally, and then I went back to school for graphic design and got a career going as a broadcast motion designer.
Right.
And then about around 2012, I decided I would start trying to publish comics just to see what I could do with it, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. There's been ups and downs, and it is a lot of work, but I get a great deal of satisfaction, knowing that I've helped put these people out there.
Yeah.
I think are valuable, that do work of value.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't realize that Tinto Press, had only been in existence for 8 years. I thought you'd been doing it for longer.
No, I've been drawing for a lot longer and doing my own comics. But what a big influence on me was when I started going to the Drink and Draw.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how many people out there watching this are familiar with the Denver Drink and Draw, but Lonnie Allen is the person in charge of it now. I think the person that started was Hamza. And I can never say his last name, Hamza.
I'm not going to try.
Yeah.
Hamza, he just referred to him as Hamza, kind of like Cher.
Kind of like Cher. No, they're great. They're great guys, and I met a lot of wonderful people through that. I met you.
Oh yeah.
I met Scorpio, Lonnie, Noah, Sam Spina, on and on, and Layla Del Duca.
Mm-hmm.
And they turned me on to all kinds of stuff. Like, they kept me interested in comics.
Oh, cool. Nice.
And, after a couple of years of hanging out with them, I was like, I want to do some of this stuff.
Is that how you and Julian met?
No. How did Julian and I meet? Julian?
I think Jake Fairley introduced us at Comic-Con or something like that. We ended up having a conversation together about the work that you're publishing for me, the Cats of Ostiantica. We had a conversation about that after Dink,
right,
like a couple years ago. And every year that went by, I saw you at Dink again, and I asked you. I kept, kind of inquiring. I was like, "Hey, Ted, maybe when I finish this thing, maybe you want to get together." And then finally, after 3 years, we did that, and that's how it came to be.
It was pretty organic, I suppose. I wasn't trying to avoid you or anything. I didn't know it was going on for that long, to be quite honest. But when you had it nearly finished, I was ready to take a look at it. I took a look at it, and I was impressed. I really enjoyed what it was about. You want to tell people what the book's about? Cats of Ostia Antica?
Yeah. The the book is it's a wordless graphic novel. It's a visual format of storytelling, and it's about cats. It's about death. It's about, more specifically, it's one man's journey into the afterlife, and these spirits that disguise themselves as cats lead him into the afterworld. And it kind of all revolves around his story and his journey. So yeah, that's kind of like a little
I have
synopsis.
the background here is the cover image for.
Oh, fantastic. For Julian's book.
For
This is one of the panels.
Nice. Nice. And Julian, so how did you get into comics and illustrating and writing your own stuff?
I was obsessed with drawing comics ever since I could like draw like stick figures and stuff like that since I was little. And it started with me like tracing, Batman from all the comic books, and I'd just get tracing paper and I would just start like that. And then I started getting into more off like kind of stuff like Sin City and stuff like that. And I realized comic books could be more than just like superhero stuff. And I got that was around high school, and I started trying my own stories and just drawing whatever I could, trying to piece together some type of storytelling. I went to Denver School of the Arts, so I was doing a lot of art in high school.
Cool.
They surprisingly don't like comic books or comic book art, which is, it was just like, I don't know, it was really weird. I was
in art school.
Yeah, it was more like, there was more fine art and visual, like sculpture and stuff like that. We learned all these things, but I always kept coming back to comic book art, and yeah, I was really stubborn about that.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to create a story. I always wanted to have a book that I could, show people to tell them that story, because it made me feel like a director, a cinematographer, a writer, all of those things bundled into one thing. I had complete and total creative control over a story. I love storytelling. I almost went to school for film for a little bit. That didn't work out. But so after I was done with college, I was just kind of floating around and didn't really have any path. I didn't have anything figured out. So I just kept drawing, and I finally came across this story that I wanted to draw, and I fell so much in love with it that I just kept going with it. And next thing you know, 3 years later, I blink my eyes and it's done. So that's kind of what led me to this point.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it's I think in terms of like comics, being like more widely acceptable. Obviously, you have a lot of pop culture stuff to thank to that, but also educators coming across the visual form of comics is an easy gateway to get youths with educate or kind of learning limitations and disabilities to kind of segue them into that and eventually get them into maybe reading prose.
It's a great learning tool. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think if I had that presented to me as a younger kid, it'd be so much easier. I didn't really take to reading very well or very easily, so had I had your books or anything else with that visual accompaniment, things would hopefully have been a little bit easier for me. So I can certainly appreciate Julian, where you're coming from with.
Did either of you guys have the experience of feeling really sad when you got too old for the children's library section? I did. I because I loved all the pictures. All the picture books in the kids section. They had plenty of books that were. I've got the computer reminding me to do things here. Sorry.
Take out the trash.
Yeah.
Take a bath.
Oh, jeez.
But I
Nobody's showering in this quarantine.
No, nobody should.
I love
That's how you fight the disease. Is just your natural body's defenses builds up a layer of grease, right?
Find a puddle of mud and just roll around in it. And
There you go. See, pigs, they're onto something. Why aren't we learning more from our animal friends?
sorry, Ted.
Sorry to derail that.
That's cool. But did either of you have that experience?
I don't think I really did. I always, when it came to like the children's section, if it was visual and I was attracted to it, I'd pick it up. I still do. I guess I never really grew out of like a formal childhood, so to speak, which probably explains a lot.
Honestly, I don't know if I told you this, Ted, but in the beginning stages of this book, I was thinking about maybe taking it in a kid's book, in like a children's book.
Cool.
Because I too also really like that kind of format, that simple type of like children's books. They're extremely visual. They're extremely simple. You can convey like such a simple, lovely theme and just kind of bundle it up in this nice, perfect package. And it's just this. I
think
I don't know. Go ahead.
Books have this ability to capture happiness and love and themes like that are very comforting for kids.
Yeah.
I think that's generally they're trying to teach them in the most loving way, and I don't see that in any other type genres or adult genres where because I think there's the desire to communicate on their level. And I don't know, like I think that there are a few things as fun and exciting as a Dr. Seuss book. I think the illustration in them is really sublime. But I mean, that's just one example. I think Babar is really a beautiful looking book. I think
Where the Wild Things Are.
The Peter Rabbit books are really good and all of that stuff. I actually worked in a children's library in high school. So, I mean, I was in heaven for those couple of years. I thought that was great to be amongst all of those wonderful illustrators,
Nice.
I used to have these like dinosaur children's books when I was young because I was obsessed with dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And they were amazing. Like I look back on them, like, I don't know, a couple years ago, my mom still has all of them. And I was looking back at them, they're so just like T-Rexes and like asteroids falling from the clouds. And like, they were particularly violent for kids books, but like, they were awesome. And they were like super well drawn. I was totally blown away when I look back on them.
It's funny because I had a similar, like transition, like a really quick, as soon as I stopped reading like children's books, I was into books like, Fatal Shark Attacks stories, and I was very interested in like, murder mysteries and things for a little while. And so it's odd that people, I don't know if that's not normal or not, but.
I don't know, Ted.
Yeah, I think with children's books too, and you touched up on this, there's a sincerity to it. You have to be concise and, in your messaging, what you're trying to convey. It also has to be pretty universal. I would say too, to what you're trying to accomplish with your book, Julian, to do a book that doesn't have any words. I mean, the visual pacing and everything. I mean, some of that stuff has to be very universal to kind of in the visualizations, right? To kind of convey, the story that you're trying to do, set the mood. I mean,
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so, man. Like, I really liked it. I don't know why I kind of went down the route with the no words. I guess I remember I've read a couple books that have had a couple comic books that have had no words. like God's Man and
Hmm.
what was the other one? Sean Tan, The Arrival. That's like an amazing book. Those didn't have any words. I've read a couple more. And I loved the silence of it. It had this like really powerful silence to it. And I think that that's really powerful, especially, you know, when you read comic books, there's, you know, I don't know, like you'll read a really action-packed comic book and there's, you know, so many sound effects going on and everything. Yeah. And it's just, it makes it, sometimes it makes it a little bit cluttered and it makes it a lot of like visual overbearing. When you strip all that away, you get this kind of daunting kind of creepiness that I thought fit really well with the story that I was trying to tell. I really loved playing around with it. It's really weird. This next book that I'm making right now has words. It has a lot of words, and it's just so bizarre. It's a complete and total, just 180. Like I'm having to like retrain myself on like how to deal with word bubbles and the whole formatting issue with all of it. And it's just, it's crazy. It's just a whole nother animal for sure.
How to make that fit and then not also deter from the art, but support everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, you know, with your new book and, you know, with Tinto Press, you guys have this, you know, fantastic Kickstarter. That's you know, and Ted, you know, from what I garnered when we were talking earlier, you're trying to be able to, you know, print a bunch of books, new books and old books too.
No, these are all new, brand new books. There's 5 of them.
Wow, this is quite the initiative.
Thank you. Well, yeah, it's been a lot of work so far. We've got Julian's book, of course, The Cats of Ostia, Antica. And then we have a book by Carl Christian Krumpholz. For people that don't know him, he's a Denver-based artist, and he does this book called 30 Miles of Crazy. And the book that I'm going to be publishing is a collection of all of his architectural drawings of buildings around Denver.
Nice.
And it's called Downtown. The working title is Downtown, A Portrait of the Denver Skyline. Okay. Which I just did I animated the cover. I don't know if you got to see that.
Not yet.
Should I try to share the screen and play it for you?
Yeah, if you can, that'd be great.
I think I can.
You've been able to change your own background, so I think you're a wizard amongst us.
Oh my. All right, well, I'm going to switch you over to my desktop here.
Okay.
And
you can get Zoom.
See here.
Not the confidential files.
Yeah, none of the tax stuff.
Dun, 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 dun. If I had any money, I would.
Yeah, right. If we just stole your tax, your tax IDs and stuff like that, we'd probably end up owing too.
Yeah. All right, let's check this out. You guys ready?
Nice. Yes. Ooh. Yeah, that's nice.
So that's just a little taste of what we've been working on, and
cool.
Hopefully that helps to get people to you know, check out the Kickstarter. If you go to Kickstarter.com and do a search for Tinto Press, TINTO, that should you know, pop right up.
Cool.
Now I gotta stop share. There we go.
There we go.
I'm back.
Nice. Yeah, that looks spectacular. What are the other books included? Isn't there one also by like Charlie LaGreca?
One is by Charlie LaGreca called The Hair Pair, and that's a collection of the books that he did for Disney Adventure magazines back in the early 2000s. He managed to get the rights of them, and so this will be the first official time that they'll all be collected. And he's just been great. And then we've also got Jonathan Bayliss is doing a book called Sew Buttons, and this is his 11th issue of that. And that's sort of slice of life comics in the vein of Harvey P. Carr. It's very New York and everything.
Yeah.
Jonathan's going through some stuff right now, trying to find another place, a temporary place to live outside of New York, because things were bad there, and he took his wife and kid and got out for a little while. And then there's always, I can never get through all 5 of them without forgetting one. Goiter, thank you. One of my favorites by Josh Pettinger. And this is, I'm really excited about his book. It's got this really quirky quality to it, and his humor and his timing and his drawing are great. And I'm really excited about that one. Goiter, yeah, number 5.
Nice.
So, Goiter, Cat Sebastiantica, Hair Pair, Downtown, and Sew Buttons.
Nice. And then, yeah, these are all going to be made available through the Kickstarter, right? Right. And you guys are looking to, for that amount. I mean, your finished amount that you're asking for is $8,000, and right now you guys are just on fire. You've been doing those live Facebook Live interviews with a number of the creators.
Yeah.
And, I've been noticing like the uptick on people going to Kickstarter and contributing when you're doing those. The social engagement with the creators and the community, I think, is just outstanding.
I agree. I think that Kickstarter is a great venue for, you don't have to have a big business to do something interesting.
Right.
It's a great way of getting capital for something that you feel passionate about.
It's also a good platform for direct distribution too. I mean, you're talking right to your to the fans, to the clients.
Right. Oh wow, you've been upgraded.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thanks.
I don't know if that showed up on the.
I don't think so either. It just kind of caught me off guard. That's why I had that little weird moment of silence. It's like, what? Now what do I have to read through? So yeah, I think too, like, with the Kickstarter, direct distribution, bringing on, the new books and everything, and then, doing the Facebook Live. That's something that you don't see too many, even in this day and age, with Instagram and I mean, we've got a number of our friends that are participating in it, but they're for the most part, I think, relatively seasoned in this industry, and have picked up some marketing cues by doing shows like this and doing the Facebook Live stuff and everything like that. But that's something that maybe younger people or just comic book creators in general, it seems like, have a hard time doing is that social aspect, is engaging people, and it's like saying, hey, this is the stuff I love, this is the stuff I'm doing, what do you do? I think especially at times like this, it definitely can force us or push us in this direction, where we're having to self-isolate in order to kind of save the people around us, so that they don't get sick.
Right.
But I think it's such an exciting tool, and hopefully Julian, you've seen. I don't know if you engage on stuff like this, often, but
well, I had when we decided to do this like live cast thing, when Ted asked me if I wanted to participate, I was like, okay, cool. So what are we going to talk about? And Ted's like, I don't know. I'm just going to have a drink and start talking. I was like, All right. Well, hell, I'm going to do the same exact thing. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
it was that type of, honestly, that was the best headspace to go about doing it, because it was so fun and relaxing, and you kind of just go on and have a fun chat with your friends, and people that you've never met before, and you talk about the things that inspire you, the things that you've been loving, things you've been hating, how you're doing in your life. It was a really fun, laid back experience that I think, I don't know, just for like a Kickstarter campaign was just so awesome to have that fluidity to it.
That's great. I think if you guys are, can continue that, you'll just, kind of expand your audience online as well as, physically, when they get, your book in the mail. And even like, during like right now where you do have like distributors like Diamond kind of packed it in, for the time. And then some of the comic book stores having difficulty, reading their clientele, or reaching their clientele, and who knows? Some of them might end up going belly up, unfortunately, because.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I want to say, I think Diamond did the right thing by stopping that because they decided that they could have kept going, and I don't know in what cases they were legally able to keep going and in which cases, but the bottom line is I think they had people's health at heart, and they wanted to do the right thing, and I don't have any problem with that, so in the meantime, I think there's no lack of material out there for anybody that wants it. And I think if this does push people to look more at independently published stuff, that's great. Maybe Diamond will get in on that more because they're pretty heavy with the several, the few genres that they tend to distribute in mass.
Right.
Not that they have anything against indie stuff. It's just they know what makes the money, and that's what they go after.
Right.
But this could be a wonderful opportunity for people to get out there, and I'm doing this with an agenda. Go out there, look at the independent stuff. Go to the Tinto Press Kickstarter. Check out the video. There are samplers. You can download a sampler of Julian's book. You can download. I just got finished posting a sampler of Carl's book. You can see several pages out of each, and take a chance on it. If you have $6 that you can part with, that's the lowest level to get a book. And I mean, I made that into a commercial for Tinto Press, but I mean it. That. There's a lot of great stuff out there that people just don't know about, and they don't have to look. You don't have to look that hard, but you can't go to your local comic shop that does 90% of its business distributing Marvel, DC, and Image, and expect to find it.
Right. Well, and I like with times like this, the time is given to a lot of people now to actually go out and seek out, new flavors and new things that they might
stay in and do it.
What's that?
To stay in and do it, not to go out and do it.
Yeah, right.
True. Not literally go out, but
totally.
Online go out and find this stuff. Well,
absolutely.
Which you've completely made that available. If not on the Kickstarter page, but also your website too. You still got. How many titles does Tinto Press carry right now?
Over 30.
Fantastic. Holy shit.
There's some of them that I don't print anymore. And I mean, but I think there's almost, if not 30, there's probably just about 30 titles that are still available. You know what I mean? That are currently in circulation, let's say. yeah, go check out tintopress.com. You can see everything there.
I think also a thing, is what we were talking about at some point during the live cast is like, what's awesome about these books that are being bundled together is like every single one of them are just like these passion projects, like these are stuff that like the amount of like years that can, collaboratively have been put into this one single Kickstarter with people drawing their books and everything like that is really impressive. Like, and the lineup that you have and the variation that you have with the books, I think is what really makes it interesting. You have, everything from my book to like, Carl's books to Goiter to, Charlie LaGreca's work where it's a little bit more child oriented. It's just, there's a lot of different flavors, like you said, that you can find in this. And I just think it's really cool to be a part of so much passion that's going on in this stuff. So that's something to definitely look forward to. Just to plug a little bit more about the Kickstarter for sure.
Yeah.
Nice.
Making me want to go. It's almost 4 o'clock. I should go grab that beer. I've got one left from Saturday. Get it?
Yeah, one left out of the 30
open.
that he just drank over the
I had a
one
6
day.
pack, and I drank 5 of them on Saturday, and it was that was about
You were wild, man.
Too many. Yeah. But,
Just you were letting loose.
I can't think of a time where I saw Ted really let go. Maybe after a Dink show or something, like during the Dinkies, maybe.
Oh
I
man,
let go occasionally.
Yeah.
that was
More like it's just more self-medicating.
Ted. You made the right decision by not having me back on that last one because while I was watching, me and Nicole, my girlfriend, were just having a rager over here. So, who knows what you would have gotten on screen if
You were on there on Saturday.
Yeah, but no, towards the end. Towards the end, it started getting crazy.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
We just had a big party because, nobody, it's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Might as well just have a virtual party.
Well, you convinced me to continue doing it. I'll probably do it again then on Saturday, but only for an hour or two. And
yeah,
Julian, think of something interesting to do.
Oh man,
you played your guitar on the last one.
Oh.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was fun.
I don't know how that happened, but
somebody needs to bring the drum set and all the other stuff and just have like a virtual band going.
Yeah,
yes.
I was curious if that's
Carl, bring Carl. Doesn't he play ukulele and stuff?
He plays the banjo.
Oh, he's got the banjo. Okay.
And he has the mouth harp.
Hmm. That'd be pretty fun. Yeah. Julian, can you play against that?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Good. That's
Virtual
cool.
rock band going on here. In the
Yeah.
works.
So, Ted, like you and I, worked on Dink together, at least that first year, getting things, going.
Yeah.
And then since then, I cast your Dinkies and stuff.
Yeah.
So, since I can't talk to Charlie,
Okay.
what's it like having a nice off year?
It's nice. It's nice having an off year. I mean, I actually do miss seeing everybody on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of work.
Right.
And, it's good to take that break and focus on Tinto Press and my career and stuff. So I think we were all, and, of course, Charlie having gone to Italy made it more difficult. And then, to be honest, it wouldn't have happened anyway.
Right.
So we got lucky in the sense that, circumstances were against us, mostly because we were having trouble booking the place.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, because I'm not involved with any of that. I don't know exactly what went down or anything, but it was a popular place, and the Ritchie Center, what's it called? I can never remember.
McNichols event
Nichols
center?
Civic Center. Thank you.
Yeah. What's the Ritchie Center?
It's a very what?
What's the Ritchie Center? Why
I
is
don't know.
that so
I'm so
familiar?
familiar. I can never remember the Nichols Civic Center. Yeah, it's a great venue. It's right downtown. It's a beautiful building. And, you know, we never had any problems there, but it's a popular place. And so, you know, we were having trouble getting there in terms of an agreement as to when it could be and all of that. And before too long, it was just, you know, getting pushed off. And finally, Charlie made the decision to just postpone it for a year.
Okay. That's, yeah, like you said, it's probably for the best, you know, especially with the current situation. It would have gotten canceled anyway.
Everything I was supposed to be doing in the last month has been canceled. And I would imagine that's going to be the case for the next, you know, I wonder if SPX is going to happen.
Oh, when does that usually happen?
September.
Yeah, we're, like I mentioned before, our horror convention, Colorado Festival of Horror, is supposed to be the second weekend of September. And we're already having that conversation because we're losing that momentum. And, you know, everything that's postponing seems to be postponed to around that time.
Yeah. So you know, you're in that gray area. It could very well come off.
Right.
And if it does, you're going to be in a good position because everybody's going to want to be getting out of the house.
Right.
When it becomes, I mean, I don't know how gradual the shift back to, you know, normal life will be. I imagine it will be a bit gradual.
And, you know, the other thing too is like, yeah, as eager as I think everybody is wanting to, you know, get out and reconnect and socialize, you know, will they, with that health risk, you know, cloud still lingering, probably even then, you know, will they want to, you know, take that chance? So.
Right. People get used to staying in. They might just continue to stay in.
Right.
I don't miss going out that much. I as long as I can get out for a walk occasionally and get a little bit of sunlight. I really don't miss eating out. I really don't miss going to the bar and spending $7 on a beer that much. I miss people. Yeah,
I'd say that's the only thing I really miss is
very helpful with that. So thank you for doing that because it's nice to interact with somebody.
Oh yeah, well, and like what you guys have been doing with the marketing for your Kickstarter, you're doing an amazing job doing that. And next time, you know, Julian, definitely chime in when you're just lit.
Comic book.
It's like, finally, we have to have one drunk at the party. Come on.
I will gladly be the drunk at the party.
Julie, do you have any pages you could show?
Oh yeah, you got
like physical pages?
Yeah, physical pages. Just like I love that one. If you have that procession with all the skeletons, I think that would go over well.
All right.
Yeah, the backdrop that you have up is absolutely gorgeous, and the fact that you've got that with pastels is tremendous.
Yeah, that's right. You use pastels on this, didn't you, Julian?
Yeah, it's all pastel. So the process is India ink, and then going in with pastel. Hold on, I'll turn this off.
It kind of blends in with the background, huh?
You have to turn off your virtual background.
No, not my virtual background.
Now it'll work.
Okay. So
nice.
Yeah, it's like it's first India ink to get all the blacks, and then pastel dust rubbed in with Q-tip. And then also for the finer details, with all those little details, I just took some water and applied it with a paintbrush.
Nice.
And then
gorgeous.
I wonder if I do this.
There you go.
Oh wow! Now you're like us.
I'm like you guys.
Your letterbox.
All right, you got to talk. I think Julian in North for
Yeah, that's quite the scene. Is this like some scene into hell?
Yeah, so this is not necessarily hell, but I would say the afterlife, the spirit realm.
Okay.
And that is where our main character travels to in this book. And he, it's very Dia de los Muertos inspired. Me and my mom like to celebrate Dia de los Muertos, and I just love that aesthetic of the death being the after realm being extremely colorful and something of a celebration. And I've just always loved that. And in this book, I kind of just took everything that I don't know. I took a lot of different elements, conquistadors, Spaniards, Romans. I just took everything and I just threw it all in there, and just made this afterlife, this world as kind of crazy and colorful as I possibly could.
Nice.
Something necessarily not to be feared, but to be in awe of.
Yeah. That's a nice, perspective that, we don't really associate with, usually death is that thing to be feared. At least that's that thing that I grew up with. All the horror movies I see pretty much, say the same thing, except for, I think the most recent one that comes to mind is Pixar's Coco.
Yes, right. Totally. I love that movie. That's a great movie.
It was
there's a lot of like that is totally the Dia de los Muertos. Like that's that is just the amalgamation of all of it put into Pixar format. Was it Pixar? Is it
Pixar?
Yeah. Okay. That. There was another one called The Book of Life, which is another Dia de los Muertos movie. That was also awesome. Yeah. Those movies are great. I love that type of stuff. And also, it goes to show, like, those are kids' movies. Like, this isn't something that is, like, presenting death in this way, can be comforting to some and put something into understanding, celebrating one's life, and keeping them in your mind is a big thing, to keep them alive as they go on and the afterlife. I just love it. I love that type of that theme. I don't know why. Maybe oh, you know what? There's death has been like a big part of my life for a while. Like I worked at a bone and tissue bank for I don't know, 3 years. Basically just cutting up dead bodies. When you do that, you think a lot about death. And when you look into people's, bios, because sometimes you have to know why the person died in order to make sure that they don't have any type of pathogenic disease or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
You read into how they die. And I remember one thing that I'd read. It was from this 20-something-year-old. He was young, maybe like 22 or something like that. And he was just eating dinner with his parents because he came home from college. He was just eating at the dinner table, and then he just slumped over into his food and just like passed away for I think it was just like a heart reason or something like that. But just like simply just passed away. And when you think about
quite literally
when death can just strike you at any moment, and you're like,
that's it.
And when you see how all these people die, and you realize that death is, it doesn't have a preference,
right.
You start thinking about death quite a bit.
Yeah, it's indiscriminate.
And so that being on top of me being like a total hypochondriac, just maybe that is how we got to this point.
True.
But I have a total fascination / fear with it. Maybe this is my way of coping with my fear of death, to make a story that is not someone, presenting death in a way that isn't to be feared, you know?
Right. It's therapeutic.
Yes.
That's fantastic. I think that's one of the best ways to really convey any art form. You know, if you've got some kind of trauma or something that you know, something that you're hung up with, it's like, what a great tool to work through it.
Totally.
I've talked to friends who have, you know, been over, you know, in Iraq during the last war over there, and you know, they come back and, you know, they have signs of PTSD. And I you know, tell them, it's like, write in your journals. Obviously seek counseling and seek the help that you need, but you know, one way to cope with that is, you know, write in journals, write books, kind of put those thoughts onto paper or something like that.
Yeah, take them out of your head and put them into something physical that you can
yeah, exactly.
Because it's when it's in here, you know, it's jumbled mess. So you know, when you have it something that's presented into I think that's extremely therapeutic. And I think that you can find in most people's stories, you know, a lot of writers and comic book artists and everything like that, you can always find huge pieces of themselves inside those stories.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be necessarily slice of life. It can be something fictional, and then there's those big elements that they're coping with. That's the mechanism or the platform that they're doing it in.
Ted, do you do that with your comics? Do you throw yourself a lot into your comics?
I definitely do. I think all comics are, you know, autobiographical to an extent.
Yeah.
I think all, you know, art is autobiographical, really. And the closer you are to the subject, the more that's going to translate into a good story, I think. You know, and our personal experiences are what distinguishes us as human beings, you know, each person from one another.
Yeah.
So, you know, my experiences seem, for instance, terribly normal to me, just as your experiences seem normal to you and Julian's seems normal to him. But obviously ours differ so much that when he puts his out into a book, or you put yours out into one of your wonderful woodcut drawings, you know, that's really surprising and interesting for other people. I know it interests the hell out of me. I mean, because my experiences don't match up with yours in that regard. I mean, we share a lot of experiences, and that really has to do with the language of graphic design, you know, is basically creating something that another person can interpret. But it's also those experiences, you know, that create the individuality that makes a piece of art of any kind, you know, super moving or super interesting to people. It's like, oh, I didn't know that was going to happen. Now that's interesting. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
So there's this line between being relatable and being unexpected and odd, and that a good artist walks.
Right.
Whether they're doing horror or, you know, fantasy or slice of life, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I think, you know, right along there, you know, if you put more of yourself in there, the more sincere it you know, becomes.
Exactly.
And as much of, you know, our experiences might be individually different too, I think there's those connecting bonds, you know, with that level of sincerity. So, you know, in that the reader, you know, can sit there and travel along with you and experience what your experience.
You put your finger on it right there. That's what makes the differences acceptable, is that they're at the base, there's this relatability brought about by, you know, shared experience.
Yeah.
And that has to do with the sincerity part. It's like, is this guy bullshitting me, or is he's telling me, is he putting something out there that I go, yeah, there's truth in that.
Yeah.
You know, it's the difference between telling the truth and lying artfully.
Right.
You know, I don't know if we're supposed to talk about politics, but you know, I listen to Trump and all I can hear is lies.
Right. Me too.
Spin and lies.
Yeah.
Uh,
Me too.
I agree.
there is a complete lack of sincerity in that man.
Right. Agreed. Yeah. Incredibly shallow and very traumatizing to such a large portion of the population too.
It is the boy who cried wolf. I don't know how many times he's been sincere on air. Maybe he has been.
Well, whenever he interjects the word and the, I think those are the most sincere, words that. Everything else, don't buy it.
That's one where he's very sincere.
I. Yeah, there you go. That is the most sincere. Yeah, I or me. Those are almost interchangeable. He knows the best words.
And he's got the best words. He's a high functioning genius.
Yeah.
Stable genius. Anyway.
Yeah.
What are you working on?
Myself?
Yeah. Oh, so you're going to come on when I do another live cast, right?
What's that?
You're going to come on when I do the next live cast this Saturday.
Yeah. What am I working on? Well, just
remember this?
Oh yeah, Kira. Good, you did get it. I wasn't sure if I mailed it to the right place. Because
I commissioned Dan to do me
very cool
a wood drawing of Akira.
I got something downstairs in my hanging up that you did, Dan.
You guys are sweet.
I got it from I think I got it from that sketch swap thing that we did. You did.
Right. One of those gallery art swaps, or I can't remember. Take art, leave art type thing.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Oh, where was that? That was like wasn't it like a school or something?
Well, we did 2 years at Grace at that gallery compound, and then did 1 year at Cabal. That was the last year, I think. I don't think Charlie did one this last fall. Okay. So that was fun. That was a lot of fun. It was best of all, I think people were able to kind of meet and congregate, and they all had fun, and it was nice to really be able to socialize and see old friends. I think that's also like where an event like Dink is incredibly handy, because it's one of those platforms that really does introduce you to new wares, new art, new creators that and maybe old creators that you're just not aware of. But making amazing things.
Off the subject, you were telling us what you were doing.
Oh, what am I doing? Well, I'm still producing the Camp Crash shorts. So we still have production meetings on here, and just trying to get that wrapped up, and then putting together the Colorado Festival of Horror. While I've been doing that, I've really enjoyed doing these interviews. Connecting with people I don't normally have these type of conversations with. So that's been very endearing, I think.
With video, and I'm always seeing you do a shoot or something at Mutiny.
Yeah, we do. That's usually where we do the brick and mortar stuff for Live and Undead. We'll have guests come in. I interviewed Lloyd Kaufman, the director of Toxic Avenger.
Wow,
man, that was a lot.
That's awesome.
Oh, he's so fun. He brought his wife, Pat, and she, for more than 20 years, I say, she was the film commissioner for the state of New York. She's the reason why like big productions like Spider-Man, were coming to New York to shoot. And then she also opened up the floodgates for all these, students and independent filmmakers. Obviously Lloyd, was able to benefit some from that. But she's a massive part of why New York became such a hotbed for filming in the last 20 years. It's always been a destination for filming, but it really, just blew up in like the last 20, 25 years. So by that, she's probably one of the, top 20, most influential people from Hollywood.
Wow. That's crazy. Holy crap.
And
she's married to the director of Toxic Avenger.
Exactly. And trust me, they are the sweetest couple, which is hilarious because you watch his films, which I love, and they're just gross out and lots of TNA and stuff. But the two of them together, I mean, it was like hanging out with my R-rated parents.
Wow.
It was fun. I got to drive them around for a weekend because they did a screening of the most recent Class of Nukem High sequels at the Oriental Theater. And I got to hang out with them, interview them, talk about film, and then drive them around all weekend. So
that's awesome.
So that was really neat. Yeah, they called me up. It's like, hey, Dan, we need a ride to the airport. And I'm like an hour across town. I'm like, yep, I'll be there in 45 minutes. It's like
bells on.
Yeah. I'm just like, yeah, it's like it really was like hanging out with my parents, But just not awkward. It was just really fun, and we talked about film and
that's awesome
stuff. Yeah, it was really sweet. So doing stuff like this, you don't know where that's going to lead. I'm also wrapping up. Elise and I have a children's comic that we're finishing up called Stanley Kaiju. The subterranean.
Kaiju. I've heard that word before.
Stanley Kaiju.
What's kaiju?
Kaiju is the big Japanese monsters. So like Godzilla.
Okay, that's a kaiju.
Yeah, that's a kaiju.
All right.
Yes. So ours is just this frumpy little 2.5-foot thing that fits into a bunny costume, and then whenever alien spaceships enter the atmosphere, it grows to giant sizes, and they're shaped like pizza slices, so it just eats it right out of the sky. That's the story. That is the story. It's fun.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I've got a bunch of nieces and nephews, and so I want them to be able to, read, some of the stuff that I do, and none of the stuff before that should they read. Even when they're of age, don't read it. Just don't. If you find it, burn it.
Do you have a studio now? I mean, you were at Grace for a long time, and then you moved out of that, right?
So my day job is a TV and film production facility in
really
Old Stapleton. I manage the property. I still have to go in because I'm considered essential personnel.
I see.
And since it's media, they're still broadcasting 24/7. So I go in, and if they need something, I'm there. I'm Johnny on the spot. But the owners gave me the privilege of having my office and my studio all in one because I'm in an airplane hangar.
That is awesome.
Sweet.
Well,
yeah, I'm looking for freelance work, so keep me in mind.
Go to Access TV. Last time I was on their jobs page, I didn't see anything for editing, but definitely go there and submit a resume. I think the HR person is Lauren.
AccessTV.com?
Just access.tv.
Okay.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah, check it out there.
I did I got done doing a big project in January for this company called, Awkward Family Photos. Are you familiar with?
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, so they have a website where they just post people from all over the world, send them their awkward family photos,
Okay.
There's a range of them, but they made it into a television show, and I got to do all the graphics for it. And it was just, cool. I thought it was one of the most fun things I've ever worked on. Just basically where they interviewed and did a short documentary on the subjects in these photos. Like one of them was this Asian family, and you got the dad sitting in a chair and the mother behind. It's very formal.
Yeah.
And the dad is the only one sitting. Well, no, the dad is sitting in this, kind of really nice chair, and the mother's behind with their hand on the shoulder, and the daughter is right there. She's got this beautiful smile on her face, and then like 2 feet away, there's this little kid with a dumpy smile on his face. Between them all, and that became like the basis for an entire like segment on this show.
Nice.
And it was called The Space Between. And then the other one was this goth chick. She's part of a triplet trio, and they're at the beach, and she's with her sisters, her two triplet sisters and her younger sister, and they're all beach ready. They've got their pails and they're in their bikinis, and they're smiling and everything, and then she's completely head to toe in like Matrix gear.
Yeah.
At the beach.
Nice. That
also
sounds like fun. So,
it was a lot of fun. Check it out. You can probably go to awkwardfamilyphotos.com and check out the two guys that are in charge of that. That it's their business. Mike Bender and Doug. Oh God, the last name is escaping me at the moment. Doug, one of the nicest guys in the world. I got to see the premiere at Sundance last month, and it was great.
Cool. That's awesome.
Doug Cherniak. Doug Cherniak.
Okay. Cool. I'll definitely look that up and make sure anybody that's watching this go and check that stuff out. Definitely go to the Kickstarter.
Kickstarter.
Well, when I post this video, I will post the link. It's already in the event page anyway.
Oh, wonderful.
And then post a link to the website. Justin, if you don't mind,
Julian,
sending me any links that you want me to post about your work too.
Oh yeah.
Make sure you send that, or hopefully we're friends on Facebook.
Yeah, we are.
Okay,
I think so.
Cool. And then just send me everything that you want. I'll post this here in about an hour after it's all done converting, and then we'll throw it up there, and plug in a watch party and stuff. That's also one of those things. And you guys were doing that too when you were doing the streaming, or
yeah.
People were doing that.
Yeah, I mean, is it easier to do it this way, where you record it first and then post it? Because the live streaming seemed like an easy way to get away from editing.
I don't edit on this. I just record it and then do it that way. The reason I'm doing this is I haven't figured out how to do the live streaming.
There's
through Facebook. When it's dealing with multiple parties.
Right.
Obviously, if everybody's there in one setting, like what we were doing at Mutiny, that's always been the easy thing. But
ask Ted. Ted figured it out.
Yeah, I saw it was through Skype.
I was doing it with a program called Ecamm Live, and you Skype in.
Okay.
But the other way to do it is with what is it? I believe it's with Google Hangouts and a free program called OBP or OPE or something like that. I can't remember the name of it. But
nice.
If you do a search on YouTube, there's a really great like half-hour video on all the different ways to do that.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll definitely look that up. Hey, before we wrap up, I know you got what you're doing right now is the big project, right?
Yeah.
But Julian, you were mentioning that you're working on another book. How about you, Ted?
Well, I haven't been working on it, but I've been working. So I did 2 books, biographies on characters from the Little Rascals, or Our Gang as they were called. I did one on Alfalfa called DOA, The Death of Alfalfa, and another one called Horse Laugh, The Death of Mickey Daniels.
Yeah.
And then the one I'm working on now is a little bit more, I'm being a little bit more courageous. I'm taking a few more risks, and I'm doing one on the kid that played Farina. And I don't know if anybody is familiar with, most people know who Buckwheat is.
Yeah.
Farina was his predecessor.
Oh.
And he did a couple of years of talkies, but most of his work was done during the silent era of our gang from 1922. I think he went until about 1932 or 33. But he's noted with having the longest career as one of our gang. Usually one of them, you get in there and you age out after a few years. You get in at 7 or 8, and then you're done by the time you're 11, let's say.
Right.
He started when he was 1 years old. He was a baby.
Jeez.
And he went until he was about 13. So he had quite a long career as one of the, and, you know, there's a lot of themes about racism in it, and, you know, for the time, obviously, none of that stuff would fly really today. But anyway, I haven't been working on it. I've been working on this. This is a Kickstarter and everything. I've got about 20 pages, and I think I want about 60 or between 40 and 60 pages. I've got about, I think, 48 of them thumbnailed, and I've got about 20 of them done. So.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. I look forward to seeing that, and then.
I'll probably put out a few of the pages I did at the 24-hour comic challenge.
Oh wow!
This year, and I haven't finished inking them, but I penciled them all during the 24-hour comics challenge.
That was a challenge that killed me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to do. It's a good workout. It's a really good workout, but it's a real marathon.
Yeah, it is.
I've never done that before. What is it?
Definitely try that.
What is it? Is it like you just draw for 24 hours?
Correct. You create a comic. The whole idea is to create a full comic book in 24 hours.
24 pages, 24 hours. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But and you're not supposed to. There are people that get really worked up over, oh, you're cheating and that doesn't count if you write it beforehand. If you don't you know, ink it all.
So it's kind of this purist type thing.
Yeah, and I really think that that's nonsense. I mean, I think you should use, anytime a person is presented with 24 hours where all they can do is comics, you should take it and then take a break, you know? I mean,
right.
And I'm very happy with what you did. Like, if you get, what was it? Jack Kirby could do 4 pages in a night, right? Something like that.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I don't know, but you know, you think about that. Like, I think it's a good. If you do so many comics that you don't care what this 24-hour thing looks like, fine, go for it. Do it. You're going to be better off for doing it than somebody that doesn't, you know, follow the rules.
Yeah. The one time I did it was at Time Warp many years ago.
That's where I normally do it.
Yeah, with Zach Kinsella and Jay Straczynski was there. A few other guys too.
Kevin Karen.
What's that? I think Kevin Karen was there, and it was great. Like, everybody just, you know, it was a lot of fun, and I brought in movies, and I even brought my own coffee maker because I'm synonymous with that.
Good for you.
Yeah, and a bunch of snacks. I mean, halfway through it, I felt myself, fading. So I'd go and find a corner, to go lay down and take like a little 10-minute, power nap, and then go back to it. And, so it was fun. But it was one of those things, is like, for me, it was like, okay, now I can say I did that,
Yeah.
And I probably only illustrated like 6 pages maybe, but
That's 6
that's
pages
right.
you didn't have done before.
What's that?
That's 6 pages you didn't have done before. I see
Right.
that as a huge, even if you got 1 page done,
Right.
you know, one
Right.
page in a day is usually that's the norm.
That is, yeah, that's the average. And nowadays, I mean, with as detailed and as processed as many artists are, that's tough to get through that. I mean, with all my line work, good God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
God, I wish I could do a page in one day.
Yeah, I'd fucking want to shoot myself after that.
Right.
Oh my
I
God.
can thumbnail about 4 pages in a day, 5, maybe 6, but I can't do more than, I can pencil 1 in a day, and like I need another day to ink it.
Yeah, if it doesn't take me too long to do thumbnails, but I'm not doing anything detailed. It's just like placement. And
Do you start with heads? Do you start with the 6 boxes and then start drawing heads in it?
yeah, I'll start with the box, and then and most of the time when I'm doing thumbnails, I'm thinking cinematically, so everything looks like a storyboard.
I see.
It doesn't look like a comic book page. I'll figure that out on the comic book page, how I want that to flow, because that's a different format altogether than a storyboard. So that's how I storyboard the film projects I work on too. It's just
you have the added thing of like, when do you transfer it to wood?
yeah, it's really it takes me just as long on paper, if the finished thing's on paper, as it would on wood.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I would have taken you much longer on wood.
Yeah, me too.
It used to. It doesn't anymore. It's about the same amount of time. So, but like 1 page, depending on what I'm illustrating, 11 by 17 on wood, 22 hours,
And you're using plywood, right?
Yeah. Right now, I think that I'm working on a big commission. It's a portrait, so that one's probably going to take me about 35 hours.
Were you looking at it just now?
Yeah, it's off to the side.
Can you move the camera so we can take a peekaloo?
Yeah, I'll bring it by. Oh, you know what? No, I can't. I can't bring it by because this is going to go on Facebook. The person I'm doing it for, it's an anniversary picture, and she follows me on social media.
So you need
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so I
No
can't.
spoilers.
I can't do that.
That is a perfect excuse.
We're about to make a big mistake.
Yeah, I was almost about to. Thank goodness
We were
I
so
got
close
myself.
to getting you.
Oh, you could have edited it
That
out.
would have been, yeah, that's a nice payday too. So I don't want to
Right.
spoil that.
Good for you.
But yeah, I'll post it, when the gift is delivered, and after a certain date. So you'll see it on Instagram at some point, and then you'll be like, ugh, Dan, what the fuck. So okay, so we got to wrap up now, but so go to the Kickstarter, go visit Tinto. What's the website again?
For the Kickstarter?
For Tinto Press.
Oh, Tinto Press is https://tintopress.com.
Oh my God.
So let me just say that again. I'll say it again. So yeah, if you type in if you type in tintopress.com, TINTO press, PRESS.com, it'll come right up.
Excellent. Excellent. Cool. Julian, do you have a website?
I mostly just do things through my Instagram.
Okay.
My Instagram handle is the Mask Museum. I also have a Facebook one that has a little bit less traffic, but my Instagram, I don't know, I just found it easier to just kind of mostly do all my work through that. I don't have a website or anything like that, so just the Mask Museum is what people know me as well. So look that up on Instagram. You can find all my work there. What's that?
M-A-S-K.
Yeah, M-A-S-K, like a mask museum.
Nice. Cool. Well, thanks, gentlemen, for coming on and talking about Tinto Press and the books that you're working on. And yeah, I'll be posting this here in a little bit. Thanks so much, guys.
What are you
Appreciate it.
on your personal page, or
What's that?
where are you going to post it?
It'll be to my Facebook. Was it? I guess my fan page. I guess, and then from there, I'll tag and send it out too. So I'll set up a watch party on my regular profile, and
Okay.
then my personal page, and then should be good.
Cool.
Sweet. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. It was great being on here.
Check in on Saturday around noon. I'll be live casting again for the
Drunk as hell. Just
drunk as hell. No,
Oh,
it
good.
takes at least a half hour for that.
That would be great. Cool, guys. Thanks so much. And
Thanks
I'm
so
going
much.
to, come on.